In this episode, we're going to talk about how to be a dad who is built to last, how to operate sustainably as a dad. And Derek, do we need a Dad Mode Manifesto? This is Dad Mode. All right, so if you joined us in the last episode of Dad Mode, we talked about burnout, and we found out our quote-unquote rest score, if you will, on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. We both came in around 4 stars, which is great. But anyway, if you've missed the burnout episode, would totally recommend that you go back and listen to this one. Listen to that one, because this one will lead right into trying to figure out how we can sustain not being burned out, how we can operate at a level that is just what? Give me a word. Anyway, I don't even know. You know what I'm talking about. So I want to ask you a question. Of course, I got Derek here with me. Derek, I want to ask you a question as we get started. And this may take you a second. So I didn't prep you very much beforehand, and that's okay, and that's intentional. How much, and this is generic on purpose. So, think about it a little if you need to. How much would you say unclaimed space is in your weekly life?
It certainly varies. I do have I got the regular job, 9 to 5, so normal hours there, which is nice because you're not kind of all over the place. However, if you are in a job that is a little more unscheduled, maybe you do have some more unclaimed space, because if your schedule's irregular, you can't plan.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe there's some benefits there. I don't know. I don't have that. So
don't jump down our throats if it's really bad.
Yeah. If it's terrible, people are like, this guy doesn't know. I'm like, okay, I don't. All right.
Don't know. Yeah.
Ever since college, I've, it's like a go to work at 8, leave around 5. Obviously not it. Can't be the case every day, but, so interesting to think about. That was not really necessarily where I was going. But I would say, we've got a couple of nights per week that I can recall that I know we've got stuff going on. The kids are getting a little bit older and getting into some activities. So they're like Isaac loves baseball, and Emmy did some dance in the spring. And so my wife's schedule, her work schedule, we talked about this last episode with her being a real estate agent, far more erratic than mine. And so that can claim some space on the weekends and stuff like that for us. So I wouldn't say we have a ton of unclaimed space. I don't know. We
fill it up.
Yeah, it gets filled up.
Yeah. I think we're kind of the same way, not really an erratic schedule. So I'm the same way as you, and keep it 8 to 5 or whatever, give or take a little bit in either direction. And Michaela's now going to be staying at home for a little while with the third kid. So she doesn't have a job schedule. Obviously she has a job, but she does not have an employer. So that kind of levels it off. We're the same on Nate just now starting to get into some sport, some sports and that sort of thing, and so that's gonna that ticks it up a little bit. She has a small group. One night I have this podcast. And then I mentioned in the last episode too, a lot of times on Friday nights she'll play soccer, and she'll get back into that a little bit. We both are in some, like adult sport, sport stuff on the weekends, wiffle ball, that sort of thing. And depending on the season, but we're pretty, it's pretty much wide open. Or pretty well wide open. Like if Saturdays or something like
sure.
that.
I'll admit, for me personally, sometimes I'm better off when we have something to do, when we already have a commitment in the evening. I don't know why.
So that's a really good segue, if you'll let me. Is there a difference between busy and hurry?
Yeah.
What?
I think you can be busy without like always feeling rushed. And you can rush when you're not even busy. So really throw that back around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned like just take your son playing baseball. He has a game on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Y'all are busy
Yeah.
that night. But he doesn't play baseball every Wednesday night of the year.
Right.
He doesn't play baseball games 2 days a week and practice 2 nights a week every week of the year. You know, like it's not all the time. So it's like, it's quite literally, they call them sports seasons. It's a season that he does it for. So that is being busy. We have something on the schedule for tonight. I think hurry for me is like when you have some things on the schedule and then more things on the schedule and then more things on the schedule, and to where like you literally can't take a breath between two things happening. You can take a breath right now. Of course, he's 5, with Isaac's baseball schedule, because he's not playing year round.
Yeah.
And even during his season, there's days where you're not doing anything. Now he may pull you out to practice every day, but that's,
he does. Yeah.
that's the front yard stuff is nice. But to me, like hurry is where we like, as if I just stack to me. And like that's, or I should say that's what leads to hurry. Not my child playing a sport, but yeah, I don't know. That's kind of the way that I feel about it. But one of the reasons that I asked that question is because if you're any fan of Preacher in the Hat or have listened to anything in the past, you have probably heard a Dallas Willard reference. Because if you know our dad, big Dallas Willard fan, and he has a quote about hurry that says, "Hurry is the great enemy of spiritual life." So why hurry and not busy? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And so how can I stay busy, but just not, and without always feeling in a hurry?
You figure that out.
Yeah, I was literally about to say, comment down below and let me know how to avoid that feeling of hurry. I have a book on my nightstand, or in my nightstand, called the Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and I read it a couple of years ago, or a year or two ago. I think it was right around the time we were starting this podcast, and most everything that I read from that book, for some reason or another, has escaped me, and I need to pull that back out. But I can't help but feel like there are parts of my life that I need to simplify, but that doesn't mean, it's on my kids, like to simplify.
Right.
It doesn't mean it's like saying, we need to simplify so Isaac ain't going to play baseball this season. It's not like that, but
there can be that if you're on the third and fourth and fifth sport.
Oh no, absolutely. Yeah. 100% agree with that. And so but I can't help but feel like that I need to simplify, but I can't help but feel like you said, how you almost feel like you do better, or whatever that means, when there's something on the schedule for that evening.
Yeah, it's almost like you don't have to decide.
Yeah. Okay. So
maybe it's just the idea of like one less decision that you have to make.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So in that vein of sometimes it's better to have something, I want you to name one activity you need in each of these 3 buckets each week. Spiritual, physical, emotional areas. What is one activity for each of those things that refreshes you, balances you out, whatever?
Yeah. Spiritual. Y'all probably, if you followed Preacher in the Hat, my background as a worship leader. So that's the corporate worship stuff is refreshing for me. Get to do that mostly weekly. I mean,
45 times a year is, I think you get to call that weekly.
Yeah. Physically, I do enjoy the gym. It's been really hard to go when you're not committed over this paternity leave. I skipped it this morning. Yeah. We talk about disc golf.
Yeah, one of these days y'all are sick of hearing us talk about disc golf.
We're going to film a Dad Mode episode while we're playing disc golf. Yeah, that's going to happen. No, I don't know.
That's maybe not a bad idea.
So those are good. Getting out, with my son, he's active. That's always pretty refreshing. Emotionally, man, I'm gonna struggle with this one because I pride myself on not being an emotional person.
Yeah, or at least we think we pride ourselves
exactly, right?
on not being emotional people. Yeah, whatever.
Emotionally, man, all of my emotion. Outside of, like, if you separate spiritual emotion and all that stuff or whatever from it, all of my emotion right now is tied into my family and my kids. All of the emotional moments, things like that. Like 2-year-old telling you that she wants to snuggle with you before you go to work. I'm like, oh man.
Right.
So those are the moments that get me. Emotionally, I feel like it's just like spending time with my family.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like, and if you don't have kids, if you're not married, all that stuff, whatever, it's whatever those close relationships are. I feel like those are the ones that's important there. Obviously you can tie in, some of the spiritual stuff into that as well, because they can be spiritual, emotional, can be very interconnected.
I agree.
But I was trying to think of, some separate.
No, I love it
there. So I don't want people listening to this like, well, talk about Jesus. They're like, well, yeah, okay. I mean, yes, that's extremely emotional, and
yes.
But I was trying to keep the spiritual and emotional.
Yeah, I get you.
Add 3 different aspects to it. So
I get you. I like it.
That can be involved in that. In the emotional side as well.
I think spiritual for me, so it's I won't spend too much time on it because it's a little bit of a rehash of what you said, in that I'm so used to playing, being a part of the worship team on Sundays, and I'm on a break right now, which has been great, but it's one of those things that if I'm looking at it from a weekly perspective, that's really something that in most of my weeks I want that to be an opportunity to be able to praise musically with a group of people. I love that. I mean, that's it. Like, I'm not trying to say like, I don't know, but just like that opportunity to be able to do that, to worship musically with a group of people. I like that to be a part of my week. Physically, once again, disc golf is what I've chosen, for now. Not for now, for probably for
life,
a really, probably for a really long time, to do. And, I love that. That's one of the things where I get out there and I feel like I can, if I need to, think about nothing.
Yeah.
And just do it. At the same time, oftentimes take my family out there, and to me, that's just as great. And it works, just as well for, it's just as I usually don't get to play as many holes, when I have the young kids out there, but still just a blast and recharges physically. And especially right now in the middle of July where, you are going to sweat, after your first throw. And then, emotionally for me, see, this is a hard one too, because I think it really is, spending time with my family and my kids is an important one. But then sometimes it's easy for me, the type of person that I am, to pretend that meeting my emotional needs is to just like silently spend time with people. And I try to tell myself that that's what I need. And even though that's not really what I need. And so I've found that even because I'm not a super talkative person when it comes to emotion and feeling, and what's really deeply going on with you.
Yeah.
I'm not a talkative person in that sense. But I do find that, and I think if you look at this from weekly, that probably is something that I need to happen every week. Another one that is really great for me is just you and I, we have a buddy that's really close with us, kind of parenting kids the same age. And so when the three of us are able to get together and just talk about it, whatever's going on, is really, emotionally recharging as well. So I think all of those sort of things, which, most of those things probably sound, pretty boilerplate, but if I lose any of those,
it won't feel as boilerplate.
It doesn't feel, it hurts a little bit. Yeah. So in order to or it's I hate to use such a strong word as destabilizing, but it almost if that does get out of balance, any of those areas do get out of balance for a long period of time, it can kind of feel destabilizing for me. So in order to approach or live out that balance and keeping things where I want them to be, perhaps we need a Dad Mode Manifesto, which may sound incredibly lame. What would be something that you would put as a dad? And now we've said this a number of times in our Dad Mode episodes. We say dads. We are dads. We mean parents. We mean parents everywhere. Anybody dealing with kids, but not just parents. This will sound like we're just talking about with kids or whatever, but this is life. This is for everyone. What would be in our manifesto for our, and think about it from framing what we're talking about here today of just kind of balancing, sustainable parenthood, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Eat a lot of chicken wings, a healthy amount of chicken wings.
First line one, word one, right there. Eat a lot of chicken wings. You heard it here first, folks. That's the key.
You got to strike a good balance. Food pyramids and whatnot. Physical health is important.
And chicken wings, certainly the answer there.
Yes.
line 2.
We had a good one here. We got a couple examples down. I'll lead off with the one that I feel like belongs on there is don't always say yes. And that is more about knowing what to say no to than it is to just say no to stuff just cause. That goes way beyond parenting and kids and all that. That is everybody.
Yes.
Don't always say yes.
Got to be able to figure out be able to draw those boundaries,
Yeah.
but without no being your only answer.
Correct. Can't always say no.
And I think we put a couple of one-word lines on there. Sleep, which my wife loves to talk about health studies and that kind of things that happen and things that people are studying as we go through, as we kind of go through getting into the 21st century and all that sort of stuff, that things that people are focusing on. And like sleep is one of those things is that they learn more and more and more and more about the number of things that are affected by lack of it, because we're getting less sleep than we ever have. Yeah. And so I feel like that is, especially, you talk about it from a parent's perspective, sure too, but once again, not just parents, but everybody. And not that, we've been talking about rest and that sleep is super important.
Under rest. Yeah. I saw a stat, and I don't know if it's true, but it's, it
was on the internet.
It was on the internet. And so we're going to do the responsible thing and repeat it here as if fact.
Without a source.
Yeah, because I can't remember what the source was, but I read that it was somewhere between the average person slept somewhere between 10 and 11 hours before the invention of the light bulb.
I think maybe we've even mentioned that on the podcast before.
Maybe so.
And sounds right.
I don't know, but that's
facts are facts. Maybe it's not a fact, but we're just saying facts are facts. And finally, do not go without it. One more one word line in our manifesto is pray. Yeah. And that's
and not just how you're thinking about pray. We'll use that because it's easy for the manifesto, if you will, but it's full on talking to Jesus conversation, not just asking for stuff. I love it. More to come on the Dad Mode Manifesto, probably. Thanks for joining us for another Dad Mode episode of Preacher in the Hat. If you've been listening this far, we'd love you to hit those subscribe and like buttons wherever you are watching or listening. This has been Dad Mode, and we'll see you next time.